You know, they're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you'll do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I'm gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube. Obviously, podcast form on Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio, discussing all things MMA and boxing, everything in between. I'm Matt, the hipster hunter. Hipsters here, haters beware. What's up? Fat Apple's Potential Lunatic, and Cameron Gillen over at BoxingMonthly.com in the chat. What's up, guys? I'll be honest. I really want this to be a fun show. This is going to be a great show. Obviously, it's Anthony Joshua, Alexander Povetkin preview. It's UFC Sao Paulo preview. So we have tons of fights to talk about, tons of news to discuss. We were gone yesterday, so obviously all the news that backed up from yesterday is now on this show. So it's going to be a long show. But I do want to get some sad and unfortunate news sort of out of the way, just so we can continue to have, a great show, a fun show, and all that entertainment stuff. Because this is, this show's an escape. This show is where we go, us as a family, as a collective, as a community, and discuss fights, have fun with it. I hope that this community is less toxic than others as well, and it from what I've seen, it has been. But we still have to deal with depressing and sad news within our world and within our community. And unfortunately, in this past week, we've had the passing of two prominent people in the combat sports world. Enzo Calzaghe, obviously the father and trainer of Calzaghe, who was probably one of the best boxers of all time. The passing of Kid Yamamoto in MMA due to cancer. Both really sad news. Obviously, condolences out to Joe Calzaghe, his family, his friends. Obviously, everyone that's been affected by Enzo's passing. Obviously, the same with Kid Yamamoto. This is very sad, depressing news for our world. But it needs to be addressed. I want to play just a couple clips. I know this is kind of hard, but I feel like it does them honor, and we should respect their name, what they've left in this community. And in the long line we're going to start with Enzo because this is, boxing first, MMA second. We're going to start with Enzo and then go to Kid Yamamoto. I hope this clip shows you the relationship that Enzo and Joe had as father and son. It was something very unique in the sport because they literally went and did it on their own. And I feel like we've seen other parents do it a little bit differently than Enzo, and Enzo was just was one of a kind from what I've seen. And he obviously a little bit before my time. I've met Kid Yamamoto. That one's a little bit more hard for me personally. I never met Enzo, definitely before my time in the sport as media. But obviously, rest in peace, condolences. And we're gonna play this quick clip from Enzo and Joe at the 2014 International Boxing Hall of Fame ceremony. Again, rest in peace. You will be missed.
Joe, Enzo, how do you feel after that?
Wow, amazing, very emotional. It's beyond what I expected, to be sat there with De La Hoya and Trinidad, the great champions of the past, to see all the crowd and everything else, and talk about my career, and with all this guy here, my dad Enzo, at the end of the day, he put me into boxing. If he didn't push me, I would be here today, so I'm so proud of him, myself, my family, and what can I say, he just capped off everything in my career, so I'm so proud.
Enzo, have you got a few words?
Basically, I
It's unbelievable. I think that says it all, really.
This is for him more than it is for me. It's beautiful and so proud. So thank you, Dad, for everything. Definitely the best. All the best.
Yeah, that's pretty hard. That there's really no other way to think about it. And moving on to Kid Yamamoto, a guy that I've met once, way back, probably 2011-ish. A guy that came from a family, and I'll be honest, I just know a little bit more about than Enzo. A kid that grew up in a family where every single person in the family was an Olympic wrestler, and he was the youngest. A guy that was shipped away to the U.S. to train with U.S. Olympic wrestlers, and then decided to leave wrestling, join MMA to his father's displeasure, especially in the Japanese culture. That is something, I think we can all sort of grasp what that could have been like in the household, and went on to be one of the biggest MMA stars, not only in Japan, but arguably all time. This was a guy that was watched by 30 million plus people in Japan. And obviously, him passing due to cancer at 41 years old, it is too early. That's tough. That's just rough. It's hard. I've dealt, not me personally, but my family members and people I've known have dealt with cancer and have gone through it. That is just a road that I know what it is, and I know how rough it is. So condolences to his family, his friends. Rest in peace, Kid Yamamoto. You were a legend, a guy that did it on your own. If anyone out there wants to read a piece on Kid Yamamoto and seeing what he did, go read the piece by Dave Meltzer, MMA Fighting. It's one of the better ones I've seen. Just to sort of get an understanding of who he was. A guy that retired in 2009 at 17-1, at the precipice of the sport. And he left to do Olympic wrestling for his dad. Ended up dislocating his elbow, tore his ACL in the process, losing out. I forget what they called over there in order to get into the Olympics, the regional tournament. Lost out to a future silver medalist in the Olympics. A guy that was just such a supreme athlete. And just this quick sort of highlight reel of what Kid Yamamoto was, how special this guy was. He was just something different. He was just something vastly different. Kid Yamamoto was something that he probably walked around 135 pounds and fought 155 pounds his entire career. Obviously, the fight we all wanted to see was Uriah Faber, and that never happened. He was just something different, in an age where pride was gone. And again, this is very MMA. I know a lot of people that listen to the show don't know MMA, but he came after the Japanese boom, and he sort of brought a resurgence to it. He was a character. He was a phenom in so many ways. And again, he will be missed. He really inspired an entire generation of Japanese fighters over there. And again, rest in peace to Kid Yamamoto. Condolences to his family. You were one of the greats. You were one of the greats. Again, there's really nothing else I can say about it other than rest in peace. Legends that passed. This is the sport where that happens. We follow these guys throughout their entire lives. And unfortunately, we have days like this, and we have to get through it. And I know it's going to be hard to transition to anything else, but we're going to have to. Please call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. If you are international, email me, mixedcombatradio@gmail.com. I can send you a free call-in link. Let's celebrate these guys' lives. Let's obviously celebrate the fights ahead, because that's what they would want. I think they would want us to look at these amazing fights ahead and be like, wow, we have some special nights ahead of us. These guys were very selfless in how they conducted themselves. Kid Yamamoto was suffering from cancer for years before we ever found out. And that goes to sort of the low-key nature of these guys. Again, rest in peace, condolences to their family and friends. Let's try to transition. I hope everyone's been having a great day. I know this is sort of a somber note to start with, but I felt like it was deserved with what these two men left. But obviously, it is Anthony Joshua, Alexander Povetkin preview. Obviously, we have UFC Sao Paulo preview as well in the second half of the show. You guys can call in at any time, like I said, via that number right there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Email me at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen if you are international and want to call in, absolutely free. Because we do have some great fights ahead of us. And let's transition because we kind of got to. But let's get to it because, like I said, some really interesting fights. I think even though we're going to get to some Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury news and tidbits and just rumors itself later in the show, that has, without a doubt, stolen so much of Anthony Joshua's thunder heading into Saturday. I think that's kind of not factual at this point. It just seems pretty obvious that has taken some of the luster of Anthony Joshua's fight coming up. And let's be honest, Anthony Joshua's not really the biggest hype man, and Alexander Povetkin is not either, and he doesn't really speak English. So let's just be fair about it. But that fight on paper should be an interesting fight, a close fight, a competitive one at that, and one that I don't think is so easy to pick. For instance, or for example, when we've seen Joshua fight other small guys, the fire plugs or guys like that, they have fought in a very defensive first mindset, whether it be Carlos Takam, whether it be Joseph Parker. They have fought in a defensive counterboxing measure. Povetkin's not that guy. Povetkin's really not going to be that guy. Fighting Hands ain't going to talk about Tanaka versus Kimura. Great flyweight fight on Monday. I wanted to separate that, to be honest, Fighting Hands, because that's such a hipster fight, and these are a little more the casual previews, and plus that's a Monday fight. I might do a live fight chat for that one. I don't know, but I wanted to give it its own due, its own shine, to be quite honest. So I was planning on doing that one tomorrow. Sorry, Fighting Hands. I hope that's okay. Get sort of the casual fights out of the way, hardcore stuff tomorrow. But yes, Alexander Povetkin, a guy that's only lost to Vladimir Klitschko in the pros, and obviously 0-2 against PED test. But he still is a credible top 10 heavyweight. He still is. In terms of skill, technique, power, he's going to have some trouble or give some trouble to Anthony Joshua. Now, obviously, people might, maybe the critics will say, well, David Price just, rocked Alexander Povetkin in his last fight. Anthony Joshua should knock him out. And Anthony Joshua should finish him at some point. Povetkin is not defensively the most sound or just defensive first-minded fighter. He is not that way. He is a guy that is very Soviet in technique. He wants to come forward off the jab, throw the left hook. All clean technique, all fundamental compact shots, but it's predictable. It's only a few shots in his selection, in his repertoire. I truly believe that Povetkin's going to land some of those hard shots on Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, even though he may have the frame and the height of the Klitschko's and everything to give Povetkin issue. Povetkin has always sort of struggled with the tall guys with the long reach. They can counter him. They can sort of hit him in between his shots pretty evenly or pretty fairly or consistently, I should say, from what I've seen and from the tape. But guys like Vladimir Klitschko, for example, just to juxtapose that fight for Povetkin, Vladimir Klitschko is a little more faster laterally, a little more better quickness in terms of head movement and waist movement than Anthony Joshua, in my opinion. However, Anthony Joshua is a little bit better mid-combination in terms of catching you. He is. Klitschko needs distance in order to work his game. Joshua doesn't. Joshua can work on the inside. We've seen that. However, because he likes to sort of shell up, use his defensive guard to sort of absorb the shots from you, and then deliver his own, whether it be the uppercut, left hook, whatever it is, it's usually one of those two, he is still susceptible to getting hit and hurt. And Povetkin has the power to do it. Now, does that happen? I don't think so. I think he's going to catch, like I said, Joshua some shots, but Joshua isn't going to be severely hurt at any point, in my opinion. At the most, maybe wobble, but I don't see Povetkin knocking him down. I see Joshua taking his time, working the outside game. Every time Povetkin tries to shoot in and explode with the combination, and I think Joshua's going to figure out that pattern, start being able to catch him, and look for that uppercut to land. Anthony Joshua loves to throw that right-hand uppercut off the counter on the inside and then rip the left hook behind it. That is his sort of go-to counter combination when you try to press him. And eventually, I think Povetkin, because of his defensive lapses, the way he comes straight forward on the same line, doesn't really move his head off the center line when he does it, he's going to be extremely susceptible to that uppercut and that left hook whenever it does start landing with efficiency. Anthony Joshua should get a knockout or TKO round 6 to 8, 6 to 9 probably at the most. Again, this should be a fairly competitive, fun fight until Joshua sort of figures out the pattern of Povetkin, and then it's going to be fairly one-sided after that, in my opinion. Whether that happens in the 6th round, then he knocks him out in the 7th round, I don't know. I don't know how fast it's going to take him to all of a sudden go, okay, I got the pattern down, and then he's going to be able to execute on it. I don't know. Joshua, in my opinion, is a little bit slow to the uptake sometimes. His adaptability factor or skill isn't the best, in my opinion. So I think it's going to take him some time to sort of, figure out Povetkin. And also, will the ref sort of get him or allow the work on the inside? We saw the ref at the Joseph Parker fight really discourage any inside work by splitting them up every time they got to the inside. Now, however, Povetkin isn't really known to tie up. Like even the Vladimir Klitschko fight, Klitschko obviously was the one that initiated a lot of those tie-ups and clinches. Povetkin's a guy that wants to get close to you and get on the inside, but not really tie up. He wants to get on the inside and then land his combinations from there. Santiago saying worst ref ever. I agree, Santiago. That was really bad. Santiago, press 1 whenever you want to get in the queue. It's one of those shows. Other fights on the card: Yavin Mendy versus Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell should win that one fairly easily, I should say, in my opinion. Luke Campbell looked very good against Hoy Linares, a guy that I think is just not talked about enough for how skilled he is. I think Yavin Mendy is going to get hurt in this fight fairly soon, within the first bell, probably around 4 to 6, in my opinion. I expect Luke Campbell to try to show out on this sort of either co-main or third fight billing from the top. Matty Askin versus Lawrence Okoli. Okoli should win this one fairly easily as well, in my opinion. Okoli is in here against Askin, who is a guy that is quite rudimentary. While Lawrence Okoli, a little bit unrefined, he seems to have a high ceiling. And whenever he sort of figures it out, I think Lawrence Okoli should come out here and start just icing guys like this. Is this the fight where he starts icing a guy like Matty Askin? I don't know. But he should win this one again in a pretty dominant fashion. Speaking of dominant fashion, Sergey Kuzman versus David Price. R.I.P. David Price. It's been nice knowing you. You gave us some good memes. That's about it. But yeah, Sergey Kuzman should ice David Price within 6 rounds, and then set up probably a better fight at the heavyweight top 15 than David Price, in my opinion. An undefeated Russian fighter that should sort of be a force in the division for a while, in my opinion. But fun fight card. There is a Showtime card on Friday as well. I'm not going to break down that one really at all. I just see really no value in it, to be quite honest. Definitely, I'm going to watch it, be interested in it, but I'm not. It's not one I'm can't wait to see. No, I will briefly talk about the Sho Kimura-Kosei Tanaka fight. This is probably one of the best fights out there in boxing that's not getting talked about. I'm briefly or hesitantly picking Sho Kimura, though Kosei Tanaka is these guys are both, I mean, so evenly matched when it comes to technique, power, experience at the same time. Like, this is such a fun fight. It's an all-Japanese championship fight. It's going to be insane. The atmosphere is going to be fun. You know, I'm picking Sho Kimura hesitantly. I think he's just a little bit more refined than Kosei Tanaka. While Tanaka, in my opinion, is a little bit more of the in-your-face, I'm going to get you out of there sort of fighter. He wants to sort of get on the inside, deliver his hard body work, and then get out. Sho Kimura is a little bit more methodical, and I'm going to go with that slightly. Again, this is a toss-up fight, 50-50. Cannot wait to see it. Cameron Gillen over at Boxing Monthly saying, what's up, bro? What's up? You know, that permanent link is always there if you want to call in. Okay, that's about it for the boxing fights this weekend. Let's get to the news of the day. I don't know how to discuss this. By way of Michael Benson, TMZ Sports, Floyd Mayweather has declared that he intends to have a comeback fight in Tokyo, Japan before rematching Manny Pacquiao. God.
You know, they're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Yep. I think this is basically confirmation. And then once we get to the Wilder Fury, you know, sort of rumors and news, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao 2 is not happening. This sort of comeback fight in Tokyo, Japan is not happening. I think Floyd Mayweather is the best troll in all of combat sports, arguably of all of combat sports history. And I might go on the ledge for that one, but I'm probably right about that. We've seen this happen before. He does it to his own fighters. Like when Lomachenko had a big fight. Guess what? There you go. Floyd Mayweather come out and say, oh, we were going to set up Gervonta Davis to fight him when he's having issues with Gervonta Davis. Ultimate troll move. We have Canelo and Triple G, guys that have sort of shitted on Floyd Mayweather in the past, have their big rematch. He comes out the day of and says, oh, no, I'm going to fight Manny Pacquiao in a rematch. Like, I know the game enough to know when, again, I've been sold some wolf tickets.
You know, they're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
You know?
It's bullshit.
You told him, Usyk. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. I don't believe anything about Mayweather Pacquiao 2 right now. And I hope I'm not the only one, because otherwise I feel like maybe I'm taking some crazy pills. Because if everyone's sold on this happening, then it might actually happen. Like, if we just all say it's bullshit, it might just be bullshit. Like, it's one of those, like, universal things, like universe things, where you just put it out there and it comes back to us. But Santiago has pressed 1. We're going to go over to Santiago's call, because I assume he wants to break down the AJ Povetkin fight before we get to the rest of the news in the boxing world. Santiago, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Just here, enjoying a little respite before having to go back to work. And next on that, please. Obviously, I could care less about the whole Mayweather issue. And I mean, you're right about that. Remember that one Instagram post he did where he was in an octagon?
Yes. Like, come on. This is Floyd. This is Floyd we're talking about. Let's not believe any of it.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. So going to the actual topics of the day, I'm excited for Joshua Povetkin, obviously, because of the Wilder Fury announcement and the fact that it's more or less like something that we know is going to happen. It does take some of the shine and luster off of this fight, just because like all of us were anticipating Joshua Wilder. Mm-hmm. Really, that was the fight we were all looking for. Fury having been more or less an afterthought up until that point. So you can only imagine, like, you know, how he must feel thinking, like, you know, this is a good fight. This is a good fight. This is a fight that, you know, Wilder wanted at one point, and he was, you know, the week of the fight was when all that shit went down with Povetkin. So it's kind of like kind of bittersweet, really, at that point too, when you really look at it.
How do you break down the technical side of it?
Yeah. I feel that because Povetkin is a much shorter fighter, it is going to present a certain aspect of a problem that Joshua seems to have an issue with, which is like how he deals with smaller fighters. Because obviously, when it comes to a man his size, he more or less just goes in there and kind of like breaks them down. But when it comes to small fighters, it's more or less like a tactical approach. I'm not sure why, but Povetkin is no slouch either. Povetkin does know how to fight. He does know how to take advantage of the fact that he is a much smaller fighter. And really, I'm still expecting this to be a Joshua win, probably in the 7th or 10th round.
Okay. Well, Santiago, thank you. Obviously, you can come back on for the rest of the topics. So press 1 to get out of the queue, press 1 to get back in. You know that game. But thank you for your prediction on AJ Povetkin. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty much a consensus that we're all picking AJ to win this fight, though we sort of know that Povetkin might not necessarily play a spoiler, but he might give some moments to AJ we weren't expecting. I don't see him coming out in with the game plan of Joseph Parker and Carlos Takam. And, like Santiago said, usually, when we see AJ go up against guys of similar size, he is the clear aggressor. He likes being the clear aggressor. However, what we've seen with him fighting the smaller elite guys in the heavyweight division, he has this very tentative, jab-centric approach to his game plan that leads to a little bit, duller fights, closer rounds. And also, because it's a low output and because it's the heavyweight division, guys like Takam, Parker could have capitalized on it. Now, Povetkin capitalized on the slow output, jab-centric game of Anthony Joshua potentially. You can time that jab. From looking at the tape, there's plenty of times where we've seen Povetkin knock people down from timing that jab with the overhand on top of it, and I think that's a possibility. But again, I think Joshua should win this one. There's clearly more things on his side to win this fight, more tools in his toolbox. Moving on to some more UK news or topics. Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders, what are you doing? I'm not going to play the clip because I feel like it's kind of bullshit. It's just disgusting behavior, to be quite honest. Billy Joe Saunders handed a misconduct charge by the BBOC, the British Boxing Board of Control, for a video where he basically pretended to sell crack to a crackhead and then told the crackhead that I'll give you some crack to punch that person that's walking by the street, and then falsely accused that person of being a pedophile to get the crackhead to hit him, and then drove off. That is the whole story. And I can't believe that I am actually saying that story out loud. So we're going to move away from this topic as fast as humanly possible. Billy Joe Saunders, come on. Come on. UK, stand up, man. UK, stand up. Speaking of some misbehavior outside the ring, David Benavidez popping for a cocaine test via VADA, and then coming out apologizing, saying that it's all, I'm sorry, I'm young, etc. I don't have much to say about this. I'll be honest. I have a couple points about it, and then we're going to move off of it as quickly as possible. A, or one, whichever one you want to decide. Everyone in the boxing media that is being heavily critical of this positive test, you guys were the lamest people in school. You guys probably never got invited to parties. Let's be completely honest. B, they should not be testing for cocaine or other certain recreational drugs like marijuana outside the competition window. If you don't know what this is, please look it up. There's a certain thing called the in-competition window, which is the 12 hours before or after your event, where certain banned substances are allowed outside of that window. Marijuana and most recreational drugs are outside of the out-of-competition window. For obvious reasons, like, for example, alcohol, to use that very, harmless one, right? Harmless using deep air quotes here because more people die from alcohol than marijuana, but that's beside the topic and a rabbit hole. It makes common sense that a fighter can probably have a beer or get drunk outside of camp or outside their fight and be completely fine. They can have a night out, be drunk, and that's okay. Now, you don't want your fighter getting drunk and going into the ring, right? That's sort of the reasoning behind why certain banned substances are allowed out of competition, but banned in competition. Or for reasons like that. For example, weed. It makes probably perfect sense for a fighter to smoke weed outside of their fight to, heal up, inflammatory issues, whatever it may be. Or hell, maybe they just like to smoke weed. So therefore, it's allowed outside of competition. This is a WADA rule, this is a USADA rule, and this is a VADA rule. So I'm kind of confused as to why they were even testing for cocaine outside of competition. We've had this same exact instance with John Jones and others where there isn't really a punishment for this. Now, I know there's more of an ethics value in the UK, and that's why Tyson Fury had more of a punishment than others. But in terms of like the morality of it, David Benavidez going to a party at 23 years old and doing a bump of coke is very different than Tyson Fury coming out and saying, I have a drug issue. I have a cocaine addiction. Those are completely different situations and scenarios. So for every media member out there comparing the two, juxtaposing the two, and saying they're analogs of each other, shame on you. Because that is just intellectually dishonest, first off. And again, David Benavidez is going to receive zero punishment for this. He is probably maybe pay a fine. But again, there's precedent for him not paying any fine. And there's precedent for him not even being tested for this substance out of competition. So I'm just confused as to why VADA is wasting resources on stuff like this when they should be trying to test people that are actually doing PEDs. Am I right? But no, I understand there's an audience out there saying, you know, just a banned substance is a banned substance, regardless if it's a PED. Well, guess what? You're the lamest motherfucker in the room. You are. You're intellectually dishonest. That's a bankrupt argument. And I really have no time arguing against people like you. And again, for all the media out there peddling this fucking narrative and this optics of the situation, shame on you. You should do a better job. And this is something that boxing media is just behind the curve on. MMA media is far ahead of the curve when it comes to just reporting and the discussion around PED regulation and testing. It's far different. And I know people like Kyle in the chat and maybe others that watch both sports, they know exactly what I'm talking about here. But boxing media is back in the 90s when it comes to these sort of topics. And guess what? You guys have to sort of come back to 2018. It's modern times here for PED regulation. Catch up. People like me are moving past you guys. Anyways.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yep, that's all I got to say about that one. Again, shout out to David Benavidez, one of the best super middleweights in the world, who gives a fuck if he took cocaine out of competition, out of camp, at a party. I don't care. I don't care. I don't. It's really no big deal to me. I could give two shits about it. Quickly, I'm going to combine these news, and I was going to do a dramatic reading. And Anthony, I know you're probably listening somewhere and be like, oh my God, dramatic reading. I'm not. I'm just not going to do one. Fuck it, I'll do one. I changed my mind. Anthony. Get hyped. Dramatic reading coming. Bob Arum deciding that he wanted to send some smoke towards Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia. Which, look, obviously we're going to get into the crux of the arguments here from Bob Arum, whether there's valid, whether he's the right messenger for these arguments. Those are all valid arguments. But I love when these guys get messy. And Bob Arum gets messier than anyone out there. Like, let's be honest for a second. Who spills the tea and who wants to send more shots at people than Bob Arum in boxing? No one. And for that, I love it. I think it's amazing. Fat apples? No, that's incorrect. But let's get to the messiness of it. There's my dramatic music. Hold on. Yes. Bob Arum. Spence doesn't want Crawford. We're ready when he is. Oh, it's going to get messy, guys. Let's get down to the quotes. This should be fun. Spence the genius said, well, we're on one side of the street and he's on the other side. That's a guy that doesn't want to fight Crawford. Oh, it's, man, off the bat. Anytime he's ready to fight Crawford, we'll make the fight. We'll make it happen. Moving down. Eventually, I think I'll be able to make a Spence fight because the money will be so big and we'll be reasonable. We'll share things and everything. I'm not going to play games anymore. I mean, we have a real trust that we've been given by ESPN and not be boxing schmucks anymore. To put on real events for boxing. For the public. And if that means sharing or doing a deal, we're prepared to do that. Nobody wants selfishness anymore. Okay. Let's get to this. Let's get to this. Bob Arum, you were the first one to say, and again, I'm a huge Crawford fan. I got to put that out there. But Bob Arum, you were the first one to say on an interview I remember editing at another site I was with that you would not do the Spence Crawford fight till it was pay-per-view worthy, till it could do more than. I think I remember the number. I could be wrong. I could be misquoting him. 500,000 pay-per-view buys. 500,000 pay-per-view buys, Bobby. Okay, that is a roadblock to a fight happening. It just is. Now, hopefully, when you say I'm not going to play games anymore, I'm not going to be a schmuck. Hopefully, when you say that, that means you're going to follow through with it and you don't care about pay-per-view anymore. Or at least you don't care about it doing 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Because let's be honest, this fight in whatever universe you want to pick, whether it's an alternate universe, a made-up one, a fantasy one, no matter what it does, it never does that number. These guys aren't that guy. I'm just being honest here. So get over this bullshit. Like you said, stop with the game, stop being a schmuck, and make this fight happen, whether it's on Fox, Showtime, ESPN, whatever. I don't care. And I feel like, Bobby, to be honest, you are not the right messenger to be saying this. Crawford needs to be saying this. And you know what? To his credit, he kind of has been, but he needs to be saying it more. Why isn't Crawford going on First Take with Stephen A. and Max Hellman and talking this shit? Why isn't he? That could get the fight going more than anything, but he doesn't. And I don't even want Bob Arum to go on First Take and talk this shit. I want Crawford to do it. I want Spence to get up and do it. I don't want Spence to get up and say, I'm never going to fight on ESPN. I'm a Showtime fighter. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear I'm going to make the fight. And all this double talk bullshit, it's business. And we know the game. Like, look, like we all know it. You know, look at the Joshua Wilder situation. Like we've just went through a very similar situation that's not a direct analogy to it, but it's close. We know it. We know the game, and we know how businesses run. We know how egos are run with businesses, and we know how these promoters think and how they conduct business. But we also want the best fights to happen. And now speaking as a consumer, not as media, as a consumer, I'm tired of this. I really am. I'm tired of you saying you're going to stop playing games. Go actually stop playing games. I don't want to hear it anymore. Go do it. I'd rather hear news of Bob Arum and Al Heyman talking. I'd rather hear that, like, oh, sources say that Bob Arum called Al Heyman up to talk Spence Crawford fight. And even if that doesn't lead to them fighting next, which it obviously is not, Crawford's fighting Benavidez, Spence is going to fight someone else. That's obvious. But that's real talk. That's really not playing games. So do that. I'd rather have that than this. And Bob Arum, speaking of, just on the same subject, switching over to Mike Garcia, saying Lomachenko wants Mike Garcia fight right after Pedraza. And it's the same shtick. It's the same talking points with the Spence Crawford fight. It's the same exact ones. Just take out their names and put in Lomachenko, Mike Garcia. It's the same exact ones. I'm not going to repeat it. I'm not going to repeat all my points about it. It's the same. My same points are, you can copy and paste to this. Make the fight happen. I'm done hearing about pay-per-view. I'm done hearing about we have to make this fight bigger. This fight's as big as it's going to get. This fight makes the most sense in the world right now. And I get it, Lomachenko wants to fight Pedraza in a tune-up / unification, which I can't believe is happening. How unification can be a tune-up, but it is. Mike Garcia, God knows what he's going to do, but we're going to get to him later. I'm tired of them talking to me like, oh, we're not going to play games. Like, or even worse than that, oh, we need to be bigger. I don't want to hear that. Make the fights happen. Or you know what? Don't talk about it. I'd rather have them not talk about it than to say bullshit. I'd rather have Bob Arum saying, you know what? We're not talking about Mike Garcia right now. We're not interested in it right now. I'd rather them do that and then take the flack for it. Why not? Is it going to hurt your bottom line? No. Is it going to hurt Lomachenko's stock? No. You're the promoter. You're going to be the one taking all the heat for it, not him. It's just ridiculous at this point. Only because it's been so much this year. Like, it's been Joshua Wilder, Spence Crawford, Lomachenko Mikey, Canelo Triple G. You know, the business side of it has been just so much at the forefront of these big fights that we can all talk about. And it is half a dozen all in 1 year. Like, it's not just Mayweather-Pacquiao talk for 6 years. It's 5 different fights we're talking about that we all want to see that has the same exact talking points as May-Pac from 2009, 2010. It's all the same fucking talking points. But anyways, that's my little rant. But speaking of Mikey, Richard Comey purse bid September 25th. Going to be curious to see what happens here. Obviously, Richard Comey, by way of Kenneth Boyer at Sporting News Today, I believe is his new the new website he's working at. I could be wrong. Sorry, Kenneth, if you're listening. Love your work. But he talked to Richard Comey. They definitely want the Mikey fight, which makes complete sense. If you're Richard Comey and you beat Mike Garcia, that's a career-changing and legacy-defining win for a guy like Richard Comey. Let's be completely honest, right? So he's going to push for this fight. I don't see Heyman coming in and saying, "Oh, Comey, we're going to make the Spence fight." I think Comey is going to push for this fight. I think this fight is going to happen, but instead of the Spence fight for Mikey, I think it makes more sense than Spence rhyming. That's a bar. But I think Mikey, if he's smart here, defends the belt. Like, just defend the belt. Like, we really haven't had that from Mikey. You know, and this was a discussion I had with Fugati, a loyal Patreon and listener, on our Patreon-only show, patreon.com/Mixed Summit Radio, the show called Championship Rounds. And Fugati basically said, he was tired of Mikey jumping weight classes, belt hunting. You know, the idea of staying in division, defending it, unifying, like, he wanted that from Mikey. And I sort of agree with Fugati. Like, the idea of Mikey staying at 135 and making that his division is appealing. And Cameron, I see you in the queue. Please, for the love of God, get some headphones. Let me know in the chat, whatever, if you can do that, because it makes us talking so much easier without the feedback. If you just put headphones in your computer or your phone, whatever it is, that feedback when I talk is completely gone. It just makes it sound a lot better, and we can have more of a dialogue when you're on. But I'll go to you in a second, Cameron. Just let me know when you get that done, please, or if you can't get that done. But digressing, yes, Mike Garcia, Richard Comey. I love this fight. I've been saying it for a while now. I want this fight more than Mike Garcia versus Errol Spence. It just makes more sense to me. So yeah, that's basically my take on it. Now, to these rumors of Wilder Fury, promotional tour, all that stuff from Frank Warren. Now, Shelly Finkel coming out and saying that's not happening. It's probably going to happen in terms of the press tour. For one, I think this fight is happening. Plus, with the addition of Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather seeming less likely for December, let's be honest. This fight is going to happen. And the fact that there's a press tour that was sort of hinted at or talked about and then falling back on, I think is them sort of just trying to figure out the details of it first. I think it would make little sense of them to have this fight without a tour. I think these two guys would benefit from it. I think this fight sort of needs it. And it doesn't need to be long. Like what that was first talked about was London, New York, and LA. That makes the most sense in the world. I think that's what should happen. And on top of that, Lance Pugmire with the breaking news of the day. Saying, can confirm Staples Center is an emerging player to host a December 1st Bronze Bomber Tyson Fury heavyweight title fight. So, yeah, this fight's happening. Like, if it's in LA, that'd be awesome. Definitely going to try to get credentialed for that one. Hit up my old contacts. You know what I mean? But, anyway. Yeah, Staples Center. I don't know if that's the location for it. Obviously, I know Vegas in terms of coordination with the time slot, in terms of the date for the venue. It's not really working out. LA would probably make a lot of sense for them. I, however, think New York is a much better venue and place for this fight than California. It could be a tax reason. I don't know. But yeah, LA now in the running for Wilder versus Fury. Whether they're going to have a promotional tour, God knows. But it seems like there's so much smoke to this fire that it is a fire. We are getting Wilder Fury. Whether you like it or not, it's up to you. But this isn't Mayweather Pacquiao too. This is legit. This is 100%, in my opinion, going to happen. I think they're going to pull Mayweather. They're going to announce this either the day before or the day of the Joshua Povetkin fight. That's what I would do. Well, 100% that's what I would do. Because then you have the entire telecast, not necessarily talking about it, but they're going to mention it. They are. And then everyone at the venue is going to be saying, oh, man, do you hear the Fury Wilder fight's announced? That's what I would do. I think that's why Shelley came out and sort of quelled the talk from Frank Warren about the press tour, because I think they want to save it all for Saturday. They're going to announce it all on this week, maybe during or before the fight of Joshua, and steal the thunder, which they've been doing for the last month or two. I think that would be smart business. Moving on. Speaking of things that aren't going to happen, like Mayweather Pacquiao, Canelo's possible return, December 15th, reserved at the MSG and the MGM. I don't think this is happening, ladies and gentlemen. Triple G has come out and said that he's not fighting for the rest of the year. I think it would be smart of Canelo to do the same. Tough fight with Triple G. You got the belt, got a big cut over your eye. You can wait. Like, even though there's a lot of fans that don't feel like you won, you should feel like you won. It looked like you did. Like, feel vindicated. Like, rest. Go vacation. You beat the guy. You beat the monster, the Kazakh destroyer in Triple G. So, man, take a break. I don't think he's coming back that early. I think it would be actually kind of stupid of him to come back that early. It just makes little to no sense in my humble opinion. And last piece of boxing news. So if you want to talk about the boxing events of the day or news, the fights coming up, whatever it is, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. Or if you want, obviously call in via international. Email me, mixcombatradio@gmail.com. And I can email you a free permanent call-in link that works just like Skype. So it's pretty user-friendly. But last news of the day, per Gray Johnson over at BoxRec, Jason Quigley and Eddie Gomez were both boxed on Golden Boy's October 18th ESPN2 card. All right. Not much to say about that. Good to see Jason Quigley back. Obviously, he was in the running for the Ryota Moreta fight. He didn't get it. Good to see that he is at least penciled in somewhere. He's a prospect that you may not have the highest ceiling, but he has the Golden Boy backing. He's on the ESPN platform. He's a good talker. I've interviewed him before. Good guy. You know, you can put some money around him. He may not be the best guy, but hell, a Jason Quigley fight against Canelo Alvarez in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, I'm telling you, it will not be that surprising. Let's be completely honest about that. Moving on to MMA news of the day, and obviously the UFC Fight Night Sao Paulo event, Thiago Santos versus Eric Anders, headlining it. Both the guys both guys are injury replacements for the main event. This was not the originally penciled fight. Both guys are not naturally at this weight class. Eric Anders coming on 6 days' notice, fought just a few weeks ago. Thiago Santos fought maybe a month or two ago. Has fought a lot recently as well. Coming up a weight class, coming off 2 weeks' notice. I don't know really how to think about this fight. I think Eryk Anders may have the overall package to beat Thiago Santos. His wrestling game is pretty decent. However, I've seen Eryk Anders, in terms of game planning, suffer, where he doesn't really have a clear set of strategy and tactics he's trying to employ, or at least that's what I can see. I don't see him trying to execute a game plan. I don't see him really having a game plan. Thiago Santos, though, while maybe he doesn't, he is a little more true to form in his style. He fights very consistently throughout. He's also, just honestly, we have a better track record of Thiago Santos. While he obviously loses to the top level, he beats a certain level of guys. I don't know if Eryk Anders is above that level. He struggled with Tim Williams. Even though he got a huge knockout in his last fight against Tim Williams, let's not forget, he was losing 2.5 rounds as a minus 1,300 favorite. Like, I don't know what to think about Eryk Anders. And plus, Thiago Santos' true kryptonite is submissions. Eryk Anders isn't really a submission guy. He may have good wrestling, but he's not really a submission threat, in my opinion. So can Thiago Santos keep this on the feet, piece him up because he's the better overall technical Muay Thai fighter? I'm leaning that way. I'm leaning Thiago Santos, either unanimous decision win or a TKO within 3 rounds. I don't see Eryk Anders really having an answer to that striking style and just force of Thiago Santos, other than grappling with him, and I don't see him really capitalizing on it the same way as others have. I just don't see it. Again, tentative win for Thiago Santos. Anthony Walker over at ShareDog.com saying skill for skill, Santos should smoke him. Yeah, that's where I'm sort of leaning as well. Though I can see Eryk Anders just out wrestling him maybe. You know, we saw Kevin Holland give Thiago Santos issues, and he's a 170-pounder. But Kevin Holland had the submission game on lock. Eryk Anders really doesn't have that game from what I've seen. Could he get single leg takedowns off the fence here and there? Maybe. I don't know. It's one of those fights where I'm really tentative to pick on it because of all of the X factors involved here. But Thiago Santos, in my opinion, is still, like Anthony said, skill for skill, the better fighter overall. Some other sort of fights on the card I'm going to talk about briefly. Sam Alvey versus Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. I had no idea Lil Nog was still fighting. No idea. Until about a week and a half ago, I looked at the bout list for this card. I'm like, oh, shit. Lil Nog's on the card, man. Damn. He's fighting Sam Alvey? Wow. I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, both guys are slow as molasses. Neither guy is an athlete. Sam Alvey is obviously a younger fighter, but that doesn't really mean much because Sam Alvey never was the fighter that Lil Nog was, let's be honest. I'm picking Lil Nog by knockout within 2 rounds. I feel like they're just going to start throwing haymakers, and Lil Nog just has better technique. And he's going to catch Sam Alvey, who is chinny as hell. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. Renan Barão versus Andre Ewell. I'll be honest, I've never seen Andre fight, but I'm picking him to win. Only because Renan Barão is one of those fighters I cannot pick. That brand and that stock is so low, it's negative. So I'm not picking that one. I'm good. Randa Marcos versus Marina Rodriguez. Marina Rodriguez is an undefeated bruiser, man. Great wrestling, good striking overall. Randa Marcos, 500 fighter. I kind of think is in here to lose against the undefeated Marina Rodriguez. I know Anthony's a little bit cued in more on the women's side of it in MMA. Hopefully, maybe he can sort of give some more light on that matchup. I do know only very little about Marina Rodriguez. Anthony's saying, I'm going Alvey, Naga's shot, and I expect him not to pull the trigger. I can see that. I have no issue with that pick. Charles the Bronx Oliveira fighting Christos Glagos. Never heard of Christoph Glagos. I'll be completely honest. I'm picking Charles Oliveira, but that is one guy that is inconsistent as hell. So do not bet on that fight for the love of God if you're a betting man out there or woman. Do not do it. Just don't. Francisco Trinaldo versus Evan Dunham. Possibly, in my opinion, the easiest fight to pick on the card. And hopefully Anthony agrees with me on this one. Francisco Trinaldo should win this one handily. Evan Dunham, while having a little bit of a career like renaissance in a way, not nearly to the level of Robbie Lawler, obviously, but he's looked decent in the last few years. Still, he's retiring after this fight. Obviously, 1 foot out the door. Not nearly the athlete as Trinaldo is. Trinaldo, great wrestling, explosive striking. I think he's going to piece off Evan Dunham here, get either a second round or a third round TKO finish over a faded shot Evan Dunham, in my humble opinion. Let me see. Any more fights I want to talk about on the card? Yeah, sorry. I just had to scroll down. Forgot about that one. Sergio Moraes versus Ben Saunders. Love that matchup of two old, faded journeymen in the sport. Love it. And speaking of old, faded fighters, Thales Letis in his last UFC fight against Hector Lombard. Salute to Thales Letis, who, speaking of career renaissance, a guy that when he left the UFC after the Anderson Silva fight, we all hated. And he came back and put on a great second half of his career in the UFC. Salute to him. Hector Lombard is 0-7 in his last 7 fights. Thales Letis should win this one pretty handily. The taller Ranger fighter, knows how to fight on the outside and the inside. Better grappler of the two at this point in time, in my opinion. Hector Lombard might be the better wrestler, but Thales Letis is the better grappler. And on top of that, I think his overall striking technique is a little bit more clean, fundamental, methodical, where Hector Lombard's just looking to counter you with that one heavy shot. He's going to get pieced up. He's going to get taken down. I see Hector Lombard getting hurt, getting submitted at some point in this fight. I don't expect much from him. But again, Thales Letis retiring after this fight, along with Evan Dunham. Salute to both guys. Phenomenal careers. Guys that have been in the game forever. Never really been championship caliber, but guys that we've known for decades. So salute to them. Cannot wait to see what is next for all these guys going forward. Even the guys that are not retiring. Give me to see what they can do next, especially like Thiago Santos and Eric Anders. The winner of that fight, if they stay at 205, that'd be interesting. That will be interesting, especially when we see what Anthony Smith has done in this division, the noise he's made thus far. It's going to be easy to replicate that. Speaking of Anthony's favorite fighter, Colby Covington says he has some real dirt on Tyron Woodley that could ruin his life. Man, Colby, if you don't shut the fuck up and get out of here, dog, come on. Like, no one believes you. And first off, don't come out and say, hey, I got something that's going to ruin this guy. Say it. Say it. Colby, you're this tough, badass. You know, you fuck porn stars. You're not a snowflake. You voted for Trump. Say it. Say it. Come on, bitch ass. Come on. What are you doing here, Colby Covington? What are you doing here? I think I can echo what everyone else is thinking except for the worst of society. I cannot wait for Woodley to bounce this dude's head off the canvas. Cannot wait. Cannot wait for this little hype run of Colby Covington to get the fuck out of here. Because I hate shit like this. I hate shit like this. Now, if he actually had some dirt and he said it, cool. Like, makes the fight interesting. But this is corny. Like, this is really mad corny, in my opinion, from Colby Covington. And he has done a lot of things that have been mad corny. So, Covington, you a mad corny motherfucker. So, snowflake. Anyways. Yeah, Colby Covington. You don't get the fuck out of here. But speaking, unfortunately, along the lines of this guy, and as a storyline that I am not liking in this build-up to this fight. I am not happy with it, only because I think it takes away from how good of a fight this is. Cris Cyborg has now come out very aggressively against Amanda Nunes, calling her a traitor, specifically because she has let her teammate Colby Covington call Brazilians filthy animals. Now, look, I obviously understand where Cris Cyborg is coming from. And I understand how fighters use narratives like this to promote fights, and that's sort of their instinctual go-to. However, this fight is potentially to figure out who is the best female fighter, not only right now, but all time. Like, the winner of this fight will have an argument to be better than anyone in female combat sports history. Yes, combat sports history. The winner of this fight has that claim. So, to take it to a point of, to a point of the build-up where it's now about the nationalism, it's bringing Colby Covington into it. I don't want that. Miss me with that. I'm sorry, Cyborg. I don't want to hear about this in the build-up. I think it takes away from how talented you two are. And I understand that maybe you're not thinking this far ahead. You're not thinking the X's and O's of PR right now. You're thinking, I'm just going to build it up by talking shit. And I get it. But this fight is so much better than this level of shit talking and build up, to be quite honest. Because again, this is the best fight, not only in women's MMA history, but possibly ever, like in women's combat sports history. This is, it may not have the longevity in terms of a rivalry that other like notable rivals have. Like it may not be a trilogy, but it could be a one-off. But this one-off has more stake to it than almost every other MMA fight of all time. Like I'll go on the ledge and say that. Like this fight is a top 3 fight of all time on paper. So to take it to this level is just, again, it takes away some of the value of what this fight could represent. In my opinion, I could be wrong on that. I could be missing the boat on the importance of her claim here. That's just how I feel. Again, could be wrong. Call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. If you are international, email me, mixhelmetradio@gmail.com. And I can send you an international call-in link that is absolutely free. Speaking of some other news of the day that's sort of less controversial, King Mo the Law versus Liam McGeary added to Bellator Hawaii. I love this fight. This is Bellator through and through to me. And plus, I was so hyped on Liam McGeary back in the day. So anytime to see him fight again, I am hyped. Hopefully, King Mo doesn't just wrestle him the whole time and make it a boring fight. I'll be completely honest. Just because, again, I'm a Liam McGeary stan. I will admit that. I thought he was going to be something out of Bellator. Man, was I wrong. Of all the times I've been wrong, that's probably the one I was the most wrong. Like, when he was coming up, I was like, oh, man, like, I could see Liam McGeary, like, always, like, beating Phil Davis and all of a sudden coming over to the UFC and giving John Jones that work. No, I was so badly mistaken. God. But speaking of the light heavyweight division, Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz to be drug tested out of competition before their third fight.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Come on, guys. You guys should be taking steroids to make sure you guys get in there at 100% or 60%. Whatever percentage you guys are going to come in there. But this fight did not need third-party testing. Let's be completely honest about that. And, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the day. So if you want to call in right before the show ends, get your points off before we head out of the air and come back tomorrow, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue, or email me, mixhelmetradio@gmail.com. Anthony Walker echoing what I'm saying Liam McGeary was once a top 10 light heavyweight. ... Life comes at you fast. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Man. That was... I mean, think about that. Like, guys I was most hyped on that turned out to be nothing. In boxing, a recent one, Emmanuel Aleem. Man, I was so hyped off Emmanuel Aleem off that Ivan Heatroff fight. And then for Hugo Centeno to come out there and just ice him. Oh, man, shots at me. I am such trash sometimes. But anyways, I hope everyone has a great day. And I hope everyone travels safe. If you're on your commute, you listen to the show, drive safe. It's when you get back to your loved ones later today or whatever, give them a hug, give them a kiss, tell them you love them. Life is short, man. This Enzo, Calzaghe, and Kid Yamamoto shit really has me fucked up. And the week after Mac Miller died, like, there's been a lot of death recently, man. A lot of death. And again, Tell your loved ones you love them. Give them a hug. You know, not to leave it on a morbid note, but you know, you never know. You never know, so go do it. Make every moment count with the people you love. That's for sure. Hope everyone has a great day. Be back tomorrow. Hit the like button on the way out. Share the show. Sharing the show is key. I know when you listen on the show, you probably don't even hit the like button. I see the like-dislike ratio to our viewer ratio. Man, hold on. I gotta send shots to my listeners. Hold up. This is for all of you people that listen to this show every day. And salute to you. But you don't hit the like button. Come on. Shame on you guys. But anyways, do it. It's easy. It's free. Share the show. I know it takes that one extra step, but it's free. It helps spread the exposure to the show. It's deeply needed to obviously gain more traction in this industry. Obviously, those are free ways. Hitting the like button, sharing the show, leaving a review on iTunes. Those are all free ways to help support the show. If you want to help it financially, patreon.com/MixedCombatRadio. Every cent goes towards the studio, towards whatever it is to get the show running. Obviously, the monthly subscriptions I have to whatever software I need to make the show running, to get callers here. That takes dollars, takes cents. And obviously, I want to expand the operations. I want to be able to pay people to be on the show. I want to be able to pay people to go to fights. And that requires money and capital. And I want you guys to be my board of directors. I want you guys to be my investors. So patreon.com/MixedCombatRadio. God, I need some water. Hold up. Let me get this outro. Sorry about that. It's been a long day. Yeah, you know the business. You know how it is. What else? Anything else? Oh, we did recently have our IG get deleted. So we have a new Instagram, MCR Podcast. Go subscribe. Nothing's posted yet. It's new. Go subscribe, follow, whatever it is. To stay up to date on information. I'm looking for people to run it. So if you can run IG, which isn't that hard. Everyone has Instagram nowadays. Hit me up, mixedcombatradio@gmail.com. Again, hope everyone has a great day. Hit the like button on the way out. Share the show. Peace.